Morning and welcome to this Wednesday's thought for the day. In those idle moments of time that we all have at the moment, have you ever wondered where our favourite sayings come from? Many have their origins in the Bible. As you sow, so shall you reap. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. That he is without sin cast the first stone. And one I think probably very appropriate is if you live in a glass house, don't throw stones. But there are many, many, many more. The one saying that I've been toying with is not from the Bible, and it is, you can't fit a square peg in a round hole, or you're like a square peg in a round hole. Quote, this is an idiomatic expression which describes the unusual individualist who could not fit in a niche of their society. Unquote. It was a metaphor originated by Sydney Smith, given in one of his lectures on moral philosophy that he delivered at the Royal Institution 1804 to 1806. Well, here's my take on it. If your square peg's diagonal measurement is smaller than the diameter of the round circular hole, it will fit, which leaves a space on four sides to be filled and allow for growth. Each of the people called by Jesus to be his disciples was certainly square pegs. Paul probably the squarest, but the space on the four sides was to enable his growth. And this reminded me of a story that I found some time ago about an RE teacher who asked her class to fill a jar with pebbles, put a lid on it, and bring it into class. They all came into class proudly presenting their filled jars. Now, Tommy was eager to volunteer to come forward with his filled jar, and the teacher asked him if the jar was absolutely full. Yes, miss, Tommy replied. The teacher opened a bag of smaller stones and gently poured a few in the jar and gave it a little shake. Is it full now? Yes, miss. Again, she took another bag, this time with fine grit in it, and poured a little more into the jar, giving it again a gentle shake. What about now? Oh, definitely, miss. To which she opened yet another bag that contained fine sand and redid the demonstration, repeated it. Now is it full? Tommy examined the jar closely, giving it a shake, and declared that it most certainly was full. The teacher then produced a jug of water. She poured a little water in to the jar and waited for it to settle, then added more water, watching the bubbles rise until finally the water formed a skin across the top of the jar, that surface of water. It just goes over the edge of the rim. This, said the teacher, is what it is like when God calls you to do things that you are not sure you can do or go to places you don't know. He fills you with all that you need to do what he's asking you. Of course, you have a choice. You can just put the lid back on the jar and keep all those wonderful gifts to yourself. But then, of course, you run the risk of stagnating. The sand becomes thick and soggy, and the pebbles have lost their shine that the clean water of life caused as they washed over them. Or you can just ask God to continue to pour that living water in so that it overflows wherever you go, helping to bring about new life, just as in the African rainstorms bring the parched land back to life again, which in turn feeds all those that gather there. God is the perfect circle, the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. And there's no join in that circle. And if we, his pegs, all different square sizes, and each one of us, he fits inside that perfect circle, with room to grow into the unique creation of in his image of God. We just have to trust in his infilling of our lives. remembering that as his pegs, his very word hangs on what we do and who we are. So be unusual individualists, just like Paul and Peter and all the other disciples and followers of Jesus. Oh, and if you think your square peg is too big for the circle, don't worry. God is the master potter, and he will soon make you the exact size he wants you to be. Amen. Be safe and know that you are loved.